Hello, Earthling peeps out there. Finally, I have a video going for you, or a new talk. And, well, life has been hectic, and for those of you who haven't seen my videos lately, I've been doing a lot of podcasts, so I haven't had a chance really to do any message videos like I'm doing today. So yes, they're a little more spaced out, but again, I have a lot of stuff going on in my life. Not bad, but maybe a mixture of, like any human being, right? But nonetheless, it's chaotic. We should say, I guess. Anyways, for those of you who are new to my channel, welcome. And if you find that you like my videos, please make sure, if you can, to like and subscribe, because it helps with the algorithm, and that helps to get these messages out there that I feel I've been guided to give. Okay, so with that out of the way, I want to discuss what I get from the movie Disclosure Day, and what I have heard intuitively, right, through my channeling. One of the big things that came to me was a big message today, and what I got from the movie, and that a lot of it had to do about humans and lacking empathy. One of the reasons why we are so divided is that many of us, especially now with social media, have kind of abandoned our moral compass, and what is acceptable with how we treat each other, and what isn't, okay? And so first of all, if you hear all the barking in the background, well, I'm outside, so it is what it is, and my foot just hit the table, so that's why the camera shook. Nothing unusual is going on other than that the camera shook because I hit my foot on the table. I wish I had some interesting stuff going on right now, but no, it's pretty much just something I did. Okay, so anyways, I got this message today and I found it very interesting about Disclosure Day. And I'm not talking about the movie Disclosure Day, but the how we see Disclosure Day. Now, I totally believe that Disclosure Day has already been happening, right? We're having personal disclosure. A lot more people are finding that they're having these experiences, and that and it's because a lot more people too are recognizing, hey, I need to be empathetic, I need to have love, yada yada yada. But there's still so many of the population that are not in line with that, okay? And the message I was getting, unfortunately, now that just happened, I didn't do that. I don't know if it's going to appear on the video, but I saw a little beep on the video. The message that I got today is that one of the reasons we keep wanting this global disclosure, we are having the personal disclosures, right? Which is awesome, right? But as far as global disclosures go, unfortunately, humans, it's a vast amount of humans, I don't want to say majority, but a vast amount of humans aren't ready, okay? And what they told me is, if we can sit there and say, well, I don't like this group of people, okay, because they don't look like me, they don't act like me, how are you going to be ready to accept otherworldly beings who look completely different from us, have total different mindset from us, if you know, you can't even accept people who don't look like you or don't act like you. Okay? It's not, well, and then we have these people out there who feel like, well, there's something so special and so different and so wonderful about me in the ET UFO community, you know, that feel that their experiences that they're having, that these having these phenomenal experiences. And by the way, let me say this too, that doesn't necessarily mean just because you've had some extraordinary experience and that's necessarily coming from benevolent beings. They could be beings that are just aiding your ego and that, okay? They are not for the best and highest good for you. They are not for the best and highest good of the planet. Because unfortunately, we have both types of ETs out there. We have good ETs, and then we have not so good ETs. Those who are service to others, and then you have those who are service to self, right? For their own gain, okay? And they play on, you know, if they're not truly benevolent and truly loving, and that these are the ones who cater to humans and their egos, okay? So it's really, really, really important. But the message I got is that a lot of humans just aren't ready. They're not ready to put down their, you know, who they feel is worthy and who isn't. They're not ready to do that, you know. They want to look at somebody who is not like them or lives differently from them, and they're like, well, they're not a good person, they're not, you know. We're not supposed to be that way, you know. We all judge, we're human, right? But if we're sitting there and we're deciding that, well, only our group of people is worthy of disclosure, we're the you know, enlightened ones, and that, well, you've missed the boat. Because the message I got is that we have to have love, and we have to have empathy, you know. Having hate for somebody that you don't know because they don't look like you, or because they have a different religious belief system than you do, and that's not justifiable hate. You can try to justify it all you want, but that's not, hate is not justifiable, you know. You know, people will probably say, oh, but what about these people who are going and killing everybody? I'm not saying to just love and embrace what they did. Absolutely not, or what they're doing. Have sympathy. We have to try to have sympathy that their soul is so miserable and so low, you know. Send them love, send them light, because people who are filled with that kind of hate and that, you don't want to take that into you. So that is something that I say a lot in my videos, right? But the problem is with us is there's a superiority thing, you know. So you know, so I'm switching back to talking about that, the superiority thing, whether it's by race or religion or who somebody is with, and that there's automatically this, well, those people, you know, those people aren't, who are we to say who is worthy and who isn't, you know? And that is part of the problem. We are so intent in putting ourselves on some superiority level to other human beings that this is why the benevolent ETs are like saying, you're not ready. You're not ready. If you are sitting there and embracing that only certain people, only certain groups, and I'm not talking just about race or religion or that kind of thing. I'm talking about even, like I said, within the ET UFO community, you have people who literally believe that, well, them and their peers have had these extraordinary experiences and they're more special. Nobody. We are, I don't care whether you have a huge role or a little role, a smaller role, okay? It's not a little role, but it's a smaller role, right? That does not mean that someone who has a bigger role is up here and you're down here. One of the things that humans do is they get involved in that ego, and they believe that, say they're in the spotlight more, or they're on this show or this podcast and yada 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 yada, that's not, if you have that attitude, you've done missed the boat, because that is not what it is. We are all here together, and it's like I have said before, what they have told me is it's kind of like, it's like with a car, okay? In order for the car to run, all parts must work. All have to work together, and all must work, or the car is not going to run, or run right? So every role is just as important as the other. And me, being a believer in reincarnation and what I have been given on information and that, it it doesn't mean that someone who has a smaller role, it's because they're, less significant or something like that. That's a load of crap also, because they may have had a much bigger role in another life, and in this one they're having a smaller role. Or maybe in another life they're going to have a much bigger role. So you see, we are all equal. Sometimes we have a bigger role, sometimes we have a smaller role, okay? So that means, that is exactly why nobody has the right to sit there and say, well, there's, in their mind, they probably won't physically, but actually physically say it. I mean, you might have some, but usually they won't say it, but they'll be like, snooty to other people that are not at, say they're, don't have the same kind of popularity, because, oh, I'm in the spotlight and yada yada yada. No, that's the problem. That's where the ego steps in, and the humanity and the empathy steps out. When you sit there and embrace ego and think that there's something so much more special and so much more deserving about you, you're already regressing your soul's vibration, okay? Because this is all about raising the frequency and raising the frequency of the planet. And right now, it's definitely not going on, which is one of the reasons why we are not having this global full-scale disclosure. Yes, there are bad people who are controlling things and want to keep disclosure from coming out. But at the end of the day, what I was being told was, come on, as advanced as we are, do you think that could stop us, from some humans who want to keep hold of it? No. But what the problem is that you humans, a lot of you just aren't ready. You're still hanging on to, of who you feel is worthy or who isn't, or you're putting yourself superior to others. That is not having true empathy and true love, okay? Having true empathy and true love is loving everybody who might be, doesn't look like you, or doesn't believe like you, or, doesn't have, the same, it isn't with the same kind of person that you're with, that you're intimate with, right? So anyways, this is my message, and I know some of you out there might not like it, and I might get some bad comments, but this is what I'm being told, and this is the message. So like it or hate it, I'm the messenger. All right. So anyways, but just reminding you all out there to embrace the light, embrace the love and the empathy, and we're human, we're going to make mistakes, but if we are trying to make sure all the time, reminding ourselves and that to have love, to have empathy, and to not be so judgmental, and get away from our egos, and that the more that we are going to experience extraordinary things from our benevolent star brothers and sisters out there. Okay, so that is my message today, and I send you light, love, peace, happiness, joy, wherever you are in the world. And this now concludes the end of this message video. I'll do a little light language. Re walk in the dark. All right. Goodbye,